Check, check, check.
Started recording. You're starting now?
Yeah.
Who's here? Jeff Webb. It's been a while. All right. Looks like we're rolling. Let's take us to the cam. Look at that. Looks like we're
two handsome dudes.
Show.
My hair's looking real good lately, I gotta say.
Two handsome dudes. There's two of me?
Yeah, right. There's the other one right there.
Yeah. All right. Oh, I should.
Went and got my hair cut at what's that place called? Floyd's Barbershop. Instead of
Is it Andy Griffith related?
No. That's why. Remember when we had already been chewed the other day? That's why I left early so that I could go get a haircut because there's not one near me, and I really like that place.
Wait, you went again though?
No, that was the first time.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah.
All right, shared all my things. Let's see what we got here. And I feel like I'm forgetting something. You know, you do a week off and you just forget everything.
It's all right. Rolling. We got to do the clap. Sync clap.
Palmer, what's up, dude?
What's up, Palmer?
God, all these people. I didn't get to talk to like half these people at NAB.
I know.
All right. Looks like we're good. Got Kevin here.
Hi, Kevin.
Hi, Kevin.
I saw your mention something about The Wire and Breaking Bad the other day on Facebook. It was funny.
All right. Looks like looks like we're good. Let's do the clap. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh.
Sounded good on my side.
Cool. All right. Here we go.
And away we go.
What are we going to say instead of saying and joining us today is something?
I'll just say I'm Matt and then you go into the thing.
All right. Cool. All right, here we go. I feel like I need to center my camera. It's a little different with 2-box.
Yeah, you got that sweet lens flare going on.
I've always wanted to figure out how I can cut that out because it is so much better without, but the problem is I can't flag it in a way that isn't annoying.
Right.
And have it still, can't.
Yeah, it actually looks better because you get that glow, you know, it kind of lightens up everything. It's fine.
All right, cool. Here we go. What's up and welcome to another Mograph MoCast. I'm Dave.
And I'm Matt.
And that's it. It's just us today.
Yeah, and that's it.
That's it
today.
And
Mograph
Mograph is a supplement to our site, mograph.com, which is a motion graphics tutorial site with tutorials, plugins, podcasts, and other Mograph stuff. And on the show, we talk about everything ranging from motion graphics to Cinema 4D, After Effects, plugins, render engines, doing business, doing taxes, being a contractor. We're working for the man. You can email us, info@mograph.com. Let us know what you think about the show. Questions, comments, concerns, queries, grievances, artist suggestions, show topic ideas. We're on YouTube and we're on mograph.com. Check us out. Noob or expert, send us your questions, send us your issues, send us your tech questions or your questions about business in general or what you're doing or something like related to your work. It doesn't matter. If it's noob, we will attempt to answer it. If it's expert, we'll probably won't be able to answer it.
Maybe.
Just kidding. Maybe we can. Yeah, info@mograph.com. This week, obviously, we do not have a guest. What we've been doing actually is trying to schedule in some shows where it's just the two of us. One of the things that happens whenever
I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it.
What? I know. You always do it every time.
I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah, we can let everybody think it in their head. So we thought that it would be interesting to schedule more of those. There's going to be a couple times where we, schedule a day off instead of doing a show, like on holidays and stuff. There's some holidays we would still do a show and stuff, and
yeah,
we need a little summertime. We got 4th of July coming up, and a couple weeks later, like you and I are both on vacation, like overlapping vacations and such. So we're just slowing it down a bit, We actually traded this week and next week. We hadn't advertised it yet, but Jules was supposed to be on the show this week, and we flipped it for next week because it was supposed to be just us next week. So everybody, if you've gotten, I think it's good because we didn't get to talk about it, and I really wanted to say if people had questions that they wanted to send in for Jules, to please email us those. That's probably the best way. Social, we may not see it on time or whatever, so email us questions. We're going to have
info
so
at
much...
Mograph.com.
Yeah. We got a lot to talk about in the world of Octane. We have a lot to talk about today. And the thing about doing these shows, I think we had like a cancellation, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 months ago or whatever. And
Ellie was supposed to be on next week. And then she needed to reschedule.
That's moved too. Yeah.
Yeah. And
I'm talking about the cancellation like last year at the end of the year. And the two of us did a show instead.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And people really liked it. There's stuff that we don't get to talk about when we have a guest because we don't want the guest to just like sit there and not have, like, if they don't know the topic, or if it's something we're talking about at the beginning of the show, the guest is just sitting there waiting for us. So lots of stuff is kind of like built up and we have in notes, and I thought today we could talk about that. And I have my list here. The first thing we were going to talk about actually is Camp Mograph updates, as usual.
Yes.
Camp
Mograph. Super excited. Mark is actually coming into town this week, which is going to be cool. We're going to have a big Camp Mograph powwow, get a bunch of stuff booked and flights and everything. Super excited about it. I'm not sure if we mentioned it or not. Dave, do you have his information? Or like
don't,
a thing.
Like you
Let me
have to send me his TikTok or something.
Yeah.
So popular TikToker.
And yes. Okay. So I was on TikTok and I was watching. You go through your For You page and stuff like that. And I ran across this like amazing tie-dye person.
And I had seen him before too.
Yeah. So so I was here. Let me go. His name is Justin Biffer. Right here, Dave. I will send you the link right here. His TikTok name is Just in Color with underscores in between all of them, and he creates these incredible like patterns and stuff like that. And so I was talking to Mark, and I was like, I wonder if we could get him to come to camp. So I hit him up on TikTok and then on Instagram, and I was like, hey, would you be interested in doing a tie-dye workshop? And sure enough, he was. He liked our vibe and stuff like that. So he will be at camp doing these amazing tie-dye stuff with us, which
and
is
this
going to
is
be
kind of our theme too. That's what's so fun about this,
Yeah.
How many? He's got 194,000 followers on TikTok.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Why he wants to work with us, I have no idea. But
it's because he likes our vibe.
I guess so. I guess that's good.
So, it's gonna be awesome. Super excited about that. I am super sad to announce that Casey Hupke will not be at camp this year because he has a wedding. Casey Hupke
know this.
Yeah, I mentioned it in Discord. Maybe you didn't see it. I know. Head of staff Casey Hupke will not be there. I know.
He can't
super sad.
Just go to the wedding and then come. I mean, we're gonna be there a while.
I know.
Work this out.
I'll ask him. I'll see.
Come on. Yeah. Everybody DM Casey. Get all up in his DMs and say, make this happen.
Yeah.
Man.
I know. I know. Super sad.
How are we gonna summon the Spider Lord without him?
I don't know. We'll have to try.
Man.
You know.
Oh,
Yep.
I'm sad. I'm a
Yes,
sad
I am.
panda.
I am as well. Yeah, I was really sad to hear that because he was like one of the last people to not to. He didn't fill out like any of the flight stuff, and I hit him up and I was like, "Hey, I need your flight info." And he's like, "So," and I was like,
Oh
"No."
no!
So
Let's
yeah,
figure it out. Let's figure it out. We have to.
all right, maybe
we
we
can even
can.
come for the extra day.
Right, come for the extra day just to hang out.
Just
right?
for a day or something. Gotta have a dose.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
So yeah, camp is still gonna be fun. Don't worry, we're gonna have a blast. I'm very excited about it. Dude, it's coming up fast. I realized it's only a few months away.
We have a lot of work to do. And here's the thing, Mark coming in town, I guarantee you we are going to get so much done in one day in comparison to like getting on
always
Discord.
what happens. Yeah.
We did that with the Mograph peeps. You know, there's other people involved and things like that. So I think I think we'll get a lot done. We got a lot done when the Mograph people came in town. Julie texted me. She said she didn't know Casey wasn't coming either.
That's weird. I put it in. I don't
always. I don't get my notifications anywhere except
Yeah.
on my desktop.
Yeah.
So
I get my notifications everywhere. I get my Discord one. I turned off Slack once we hit like 1,000 people in the Slack channel.
There's no way.
Yeah.
There's no
I turn
way.
off
We'll go mad.
I turn off Discord for every other channel that I have except the Mograph one and the Camp Mograph one.
For now. I see the Discord starting to pick up a little bit too.
It is.
I'm trying to converse on there. It's nowhere near what the Slack is. If you're just on the Discord, you should definitely do the Slack. I know Slack is Slack. I get it. I like Discord better too, but there's a lot of people in the Slack. If you're looking for help on something, like you know.
We get more people
No,
asking
Julie.
about...
Julie knew. She said
Okay.
Sorry, I read that wrong. She said she didn't know. I didn't know.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
I just rely on her to relay me the messages that you write in Discord. She's like every day. It's like, did you see what Matt wrote on Discord? I'm like, no. I'm just waiting for her. But our sponsors.
Sponsors, yes. Our amazing sponsors. Without them, we couldn't have made camp so affordable and wonderful, and bringing in all these cool people. You know, because unlike some other events and stuff like that, we do actually pay. I don't know if people know this, but we do actually pay our people to be there, which is, you know, I feel like I from the very beginning, we've always kind of wanted to set a precedence where we don't just ask people to, you know, do workshops, but we actually pay them, and you know, sponsors help cover that as well. You know, that's why we're able to do all this amazing stuff. So first off, our global sponsor, Otoy. Otoy is presenting Camp Mograph. We're super excited to have them on board. They are the Spider Lord sponsor for us. And then our two village sponsors, Maxon and Video Copilot. We're super excited to have them on board. And then our gold sponsor, Grayscale Gorilla. So thank you to all of our sponsors for, you know, helping us out and making tickets cheap and helping us bring in, you know, some amazing people. It's going to be so much fun. I get really excited. Once we get closer and closer to camp, I start getting like camp dreams, you know?
Right.
Where I think I swear I had one last week where it was like we were literally leaving for camp the next day and we hadn't even like booked flights and stuff like that. You know, it's that
going to school in your underwear dream.
Exactly.
Basically.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's the new going to school in your underwear.
Going to camp
dream.
in your underwear.
Going to camp
dream.
in your underwear.
I mean, that's just me going to camp. But
don't tell him, Dave.
Oh, Matt says it looks like we lost weight. Thank you.
Dave did. I did not.
Well, in comparison to the last month, no. In general, yes.
Yeah.
But
I have just got rid of some hair, and my beard is shaping my face really well.
Yeah, see, that always helps. That always helps. I do that too. I'll shave real close and everything, and you'll be like, "You look like you lost weight." I'm like, "Yeah, sure."
I need to lose some weight. I need to go into Disney in like a month, exactly a month, and like I would love to be down.
So
like
that
maybe
you can
10 pounds.
Even, you know, and even.
Well, yeah, it's funny. Like, yeah, you always do come back, but I always feel like some of that weight that I come back with is muscle, because you're working out every day. You're walking basically a half marathon every day.
I feel like I lose more weight in the summer too, just because of, you know, sweating and things, and I just feel like I get more workout in the summer. I haven't been lately. Like, it was NAB, then it was COVID, you know, and then like all sorts of projects. We've been just absolutely slammed. Like,
It's
and
awful.
on top of that, like Julie and I were getting real, you know, into both running together.
Yeah.
And then she messed up a nerve in her back, so we were just about to get back on our routine. So we're so close, and I really want to get back into it because I got to drop some lbs for camp too, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
'Cause
I'd
I'll
like
be
to
eating the foods.
Yeah.
But speaking of which, yeah, it's our crazy summer schedule. Like everything is up in upheaval right now. You know, if you follow our social and stuff, you probably haven't seen as much. You know, we've gotten rid of a lot of things for now. Like,
Yeah, we kind of trimmed a little bit of the
Yeah.
fat, you know, some of the stuff that wasn't necessarily needed, you know, that were extra and were good to have, but not necessary.
I was
I
just
don't know.
getting burnt out. I was just
Yeah.
getting burnt out. I mean, it looks so good on there and everything, but like the social, the promos, the show art, the animations, the custom music for everything, the TikToks, you know, even the drop, you know. And
Yeah.
it's not that we won't do the drop, but I think it like on weeks that there's nothing going on, it's like we have to find something to talk about.
Yeah.
And it's like, let's wait until we have a good opportunity and do a special.
Yeah.
And that's like an episode of the drop. So
Yeah.
that's a better way to do it. You know, we might bring up some NFT stuff now and then or whatever, but I think that's a good way to do it for now. Like,
I agree. I
we
agree.
have so
You know,
much
and
work.
the
That's
thing is,
problem.
most of the drop was just an advertisement for Nifty Gateway and Maker's Place, and they're not paying us to do that.
Right.
You know, if they want
Right.
to, sure, call us up. We'll start doing the drop every week.
Yeah,
But you
so
know,
it's not good. It's not gone. We're still
Yeah.
doing that, but I think we're gonna have like good topics and stuff for
Yeah.
those shows. You know, and you know we have been working around the clock on massive amounts of projects, and there's still stuff coming, and we're finishing one project and going into others. So we'll see, but you know, like I said, we're gonna have days off. We've been rescheduling people all around. It has been like the schedule for the summer has been just nuts.
It
you
is,
know?
yeah.
And in getting rid of some of these things, it's not just, you know, for more time for working on our actual business that actually, you know, makes our paycheck,
Right.
but also like more family time, more like creative time, more experimentation time for like, you know, learning ZBrush and which we got these things for. I've barely learned any ZBrush. I'm trying when I can. I need to learn more ZBrush. I want to learn some more Unreal stuff, Rococo stuff. There's so much. I want to do some dang renders.
Yeah. I've been in Anna, I've been in her Discord, you know, and they do live streams all the time. It is so cool. You know, it's cool to watch those ZBrush live streams.
Oh man, they have so many streams. And let's see, what else do I have in the notes here? Yeah, so here's what I was going to say. So yeah, you won't maybe see promos, but we still will have everything up as far as the schedule. I'm going to start getting that going here hopefully this week to show what our schedule is going to be. And all you got to do is go to mograph.com/live. Or if you're subscribed to our YouTube channel, there is a playlist called Upcoming Shows, and you can see everything that's coming up. So if you want to know who's coming, you're just going to have to check that instead of our Instagram. Sorry. You know.
Yeah.
It's just a lot, and I need to reclaim some of my time.
Once Mograph starts making money and we can pay someone to do it, there you go.
Well, Mograph is making money.
Well, more money.
More money.
Right.
And then what else is on here? Oh, you were working remote this week. I don't know if you want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so like this was Amy, my wife, wanted to go.
Hi,
my wife, yeah, wanted to go out of town like as soon as she got out of school, you know, because she's a teacher and stuff like that. So we drove up to Salt Lake City to see some of her family, and I got to hang out with Aaron Sorensen while I was up there. We went and had lunch. Yeah,
that's cool.
Love that guy.
Catch up with that guy. We need to.
I know.
Do a show.
We should do a show. I'll hit him up. Yeah, so I was like, okay, this is my first chance to work remote, you know, like remote from actually remote.
Yeah. Well,
So
yeah.
I built out a little gaming rig Probably a year. No, maybe it was 2 years ago. Jeez,
Yeah,
it was in the middle of
it was
COVID.
at least 2 years before I moved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I built out a little gaming rig. It's got a little 2080 inside of it, and it's about the size of maybe like an old VCR or something, So it's portable, and I was like, okay, so I'm gonna bring this with me. I'm going to, see if I can actually work entirely off this. And what I ended up doing was my internet was fast enough to where I could parsec into my computer. And I will tell you, like, parsec, if you're not using parsec,
I know.
like it is the greatest for remoting into your computer. I was able to run After Effects and run Cinema 4D like no problem. Well, besides After Effects.
Right.
After Effects sucks. So
I'm surprised how many people don't know about Parsec still, or they've heard of it, but they just don't realize how much better it is. And they're like, oh, I use TeamViewer. It's like, dude.
TeamViewer is awful.
Yeah.
It is so bad. Like constantly losing colors and stuff like that. It's so funny because I'd parsec into my main machine, and then I'd need to get over to my other machine, and then I'd parsec into that one from the parsec machine. So parsec inception,
Yo, dog, I heard you like Parsec.
Right. So the biggest thing that I was worried about was one, either losing power, because once power comes up, it's like,
internet,
then you're kind of screwed, right? That's why I brought my main machine with me and had it, the Dropbox all linked and everything, just in case I couldn't parsec in, and you can do it with a laptop as well, but I brought my main machine. So yeah, the only problem I ran into, I didn't lose any power the whole time, the good part, but After Effects did do its stupid After Effects thing where it just freezes up on you, and the only way to get it to come back up is to completely restart your system. After Effects, I don't understand what it is, and like I even tried updating my After Effects and stuff like that. I'm on the newest version, but it just hangs. It hangs when you try and close it, and I don't get it. It's
probably
awful piece
technical.
of crap program. It is. I hate it so much. I hate it so much.
Jackie Jackson, is that your real name? Jackie Jackson. That's like Daniel Danielson.
Right? Or Marky Mark.
Yeah. Jackie. What's your name? Jackie? What's your last name? Jackson. Sorry. Jackie, is there a difference between the paid and the free version of Parsec? Yes. And here's what I'll say is that Parsec free greater than TeamViewer paid.
Yes.
And Parsec is great free, but when you have the full version, there's some other things you can do with it. I believe when you pay, you get the 444 color, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, and you can like switch multi-screens, if you've got
up at once.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. My real name is literally Samuel Jackson.
Oh my goodness.
I go by Jackie.
Oh,
all right, that's probably smart.
So this is a Dan Marino situation.
Right, Dan Marino.
Okay, I got you. Yeah.
That's funny. So, I was looking it up how to like auto log in, so just have it like automatically log in whenever my system came up, right? And so I was like, all right, I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna have it auto log in, and then I'm gonna reset my computer remotely, and hopefully it comes up. And so I did it, and it did not come up. So I had to call my mother-in-law, who lives 5 minutes away, have her come to my house and reset my computer, all because After Effects wouldn't close. And so what I decided to do was
Adobe.
Right, use one of my secondary computers. Use one of my secondary computers as my After Effects machine, and use my main one as my Cinema 4D machine, so that I could actually, do things, and I didn't have to worry about After Effects crashing my entire system to where I couldn't use Cinema 4D anymore, because if you just leave it up and let it go, which is what I did, and then I'd open a previous version of After Effects, eventually it would just get all funky and wouldn't work anymore.
I was like, I look more red than usual. I have a light that's stuck on red in here. It didn't automate correctly. Oh well. The thing about the resetting is if you set your computer to reboot on power failure, and you also tell it not to go to the login screen, that'll take you straight through, and Parsec will start. So you could just enable that.
Right.
The problem Now there are different things you can get, but this still doesn't fix your problem. You can get these little things that hook into your router or hook into whatever, and they'll restart. They'll remotely restart on command. The problem is if you lose internet, you can't remotely do that.
Here's the thing, yeah, like Thomas says in the chat, and this is what me and Jags were talking about the other day, you could get a Wi-Fi power plug, you know, to where I could just remotely restart my computer, you know, but also I was thinking maybe I could, because I don't know if it'll turn back on once it turns back on, you know.
It should.
You could buy one of those little...
it's in the BIOS.
Yeah, you could buy one of those little, like, just push button things, the little Adreno things, you know.
Well,
and
it's basically
so like
the
that
same.
It
Amazon
just turns on the button. You know.
If you get one of those plugs, here's the thing: like, get one that isn't Amazon or Google, because the ones that are Amazon won't work with Google, and the ones that are Google won't work with Amazon, but all the other ones work with everything.
Yeah.
Stupid. But
it is stupid.
The problem is if you lose internet, I think they make some where you can actually like plug in a phone line or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, but
I mean, if you lose internet anyway, it's not like you can do anything, you know.
That's true.
Right.
That's
I mean,
true.
It's like even if I was working at home and I lost internet, I couldn't really do anything.
They might make one that has some sort of like special 3G connection, but I mean, we're talking now, you know, you would have to be doing a lot of remote work to invest in one of those.
Yeah.
You know,
but it's nice. I'll tell you what, it was nice. We have this big project that we're working on right now, and it's like I knew I was going to be gone, and I told my wife, I said, you know, I know we're going out of town, but just to know that I'm going to be working for several of those days,
right?
You know, and which I did. I ended up working like 4 out of the 5 days or 3 out of the 4 days that we were there, you know. But yeah, it's still fun though, because then like, you know, you can go, and this is something that I want to do like next year or something like that. I want I want to go to Europe. I want to go to Europe really bad and just like travel around and stuff like that. But I'd love to be able to just bring a remote station with me and work remotely. You know, it's like that's one of the joys of working for yourself and being a remote worker is that you can go anywhere. You know. Yeah. I saw a TikTok yesterday where a guy was like, the boss said I could go fully remote 2 years ago, and then he asked me to come into the office, start coming into the office, and it's like, dude, I moved. It's like, that's hilarious. That's really funny.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Whoops. Yeah. Well, Jackie's talking about these, you know, cloud-based.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can do that. The thing is, you have to have everything set up just right. You know, it's so much easier to log into your machine and say, my Dropbox is good to go. These files are synced, and you know, you don't have to worry about the setup. I guess it just depends on like how often you're going to be doing that.
Yeah. You know, and there's rental fees per hour, you know, based on that. Also, depending on what kind of computer you want to set up,
right?
You know, stuff like that. I don't know. It'd be an interesting thing to look into.
And the crash stuff you're talking about is just I feel like there are phases that the whole industry goes through where things get super crashy, and I feel like it's a chain reaction, you know, like one program will start to become unstable and then a plugin will become unstable and then another program, and I just feel like there's bouts of time where I'll go through like a year of just awful issues, and then I'll get it all settled for a while, and you know, you got these AE issues. AE has always been like this. I'm sure a lot of y'all have seen the Corridor video that just came out about how awful AE is, and you know, we all know that. I have a lot of problems with plugins crashing in After Effects, just constantly, all the time, and I don't know why. And it's one of those things, you're working, you're like, yeah, I could do a bug report, and I could get the text, and I could take this and try and figure out why it crashed, and if I can find out why it crashed, then I can contact whoever made that plugin if it's a plugin-related issue, and I can ask them why it does that, and maybe they'll get back to me, maybe not. Like,
I have 100%. I submit every single crash report in After Effects.
With expletives.
Well, sometimes, yes. Sometimes I also copy and paste the B movie script from it,
Oh, that's
just
funny.
because I can. But yeah, like, I mean, really, yeah, every single time it was like, what were you doing to cause this issue? I was just playing my timeline like any
Right.
NLE should be
I'm
able to
sorry
do.
I hit play.
I'm sorry I needed 2 frames for
Yeah.
playback.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Yeah, the parsec for iOS and Raspberry Pi would be nice. I wish it was for. Here's the thing: you can use the client, or I'm sorry, you can use the client to like log into your PC, which is great because I love logging into my PC from
Yeah.
my Mac laptop and checking in on things or whatever. But you can't do it with Mac, and I wish you
Yeah.
could. I don't know why they
If
don't.
you're going Mac to Mac, you can use Mac Remote Desktop, which I don't know
Right.
how good that is.
It's pretty
Got to
good, I
get one of
guess.
those new Mac Studios, unless they're announcing something new today.
Right. We'll check in on them.
Yeah.
We'll go live to the show floor later and
Right.
see what's going on.
Let me go. I'll just click up Mac Rumors and just have them do the
I was
refresh.
gonna do that. I was literally
Yeah.
gonna like check in at
That's
one
funny.
point, so we could just. By the time we get to the end of the show, we're gonna have a list of
Oh.
things to talk about. So don't talk about it yet. No spoilers. No
All
spoilers.
right. All right.
No spoilers.
Okay.
We'll find out about the AR
of
headset
things.
later.
There's not going to be an AR headset. There will not be an AR headset. I guarantee you, Apple will make a VR headset before it makes an AR headset.
What? No, the
Yeah.
other way. It's gonna
No.
be AR first. They've been working on AR on the iPhone forever.
Nah.
AR is where the future
They
is.
will do. Right, but they will do a VR headset first before they do an AR headset.
I think it will be
and
both
It'll
by
have.
default.
It'll have probably an AR mode, which will probably be crappy, like the Oculus, if they do it.
Oh no, I think the way that they've been doing it already, like with the phone, everything's there. All they have to do is literally just put the camera in the VR helmet
Yeah.
at that
maybe.
point. So I think it's going to be advertised as both, and I really do think that AR is going to be the big thing. VR is cool to go into VR, but like day to day, I think like AR is going to be where it's at. I would love to have an empty room that I could turn into anything I wanted at
Right.
any time. That would be so awesome. You could
That's
just
the holodeck.
yeah.
Right, and then you use that AI stuff that everyone's using in order to, hey computer, I need this and this and this. Show me a dragon wearing a top hat.
Yeah.
Right.
Integrate that AI. We will be talking about some AI later on.
Yeah.
There was one other thing I was going to say about I was going to talk about installer issues that I had. Now, I don't know if anybody has had this problem, and I cannot figure out, maybe I deleted some temp directory that was big or something, and maybe that's how I screwed it up. But I've had some registry issues, too, when it comes to installing things. One of my big issues, and I'm pretty sure it's, I haven't, like, redone this computer in, like, 5 years.
Same.
Right? And there's issues I feel like that are just following me from years ago. For example,
Right.
when I go to install a program, 9 times out of 10, it'll say the installer's already running. You can't run the installer because an installer's running. And I'll go to Task
Weird.
Manager, and it's just sitting there. It's like some startup process is trying to complete some install that it did 5 years ago. And so every time I restart the computer, it comes up. But the issue that I'm having now is that I will go to install a program, like Unreal 5, for example, and okay, installer is already running. Okay, cool. So I'll fix that, and then I'll run it again, and then it says you're missing a file. You're missing the installer for the last version of this .msi. And I'm like, I don't save that. Who saves their installers? Nobody
Right.
saves their installers. It must have been putting those installers into a folder somewhere, and it can't find it. And finally, because what I would have to do is find that version. And if I can't find the version, I'm screwed.
Yeah.
Like for example, I can't not get Bluetooth to work on my motherboard. And I've come to the conclusion at this point now. I don't think it's related to this issue, but I think it's actually the Bluetooth doesn't work.
Yeah.
But I could not.
Do you have to
install
enable
the
it in the
update.
BIOS? Because I know sometimes with Wi-Fi
Sometimes
you
do.
have to enable
Right.
it in the BIOS.
Nope, it's not in there on this version. I thought it was, and that was my old motherboard. And it's all there. It says it's there, but it just says the drivers aren't working right. But in trying to update the Bluetooth drivers to figure out the problem, same thing. You need the Intel Realtek driver from October 4th, 2019 at 3:45 p.m. And it's like,
Yeah,
where am
see,
I
I don't-
supposed to find that?
I don't do anything with Bluetooth. You know?
But it's the fact that the installer is needed to install the new one. It's like to uninstall this, it needs the installer. And so finally, yesterday, I found something that fixes this, and it's a little program that Microsoft makes. It's one of their repair tools that never work.
Right.
And it locked up. It said it found a problem, and it went to fix it, and it locked up, and it sat there for 20 minutes. And I'm like, okay. But once I closed it, it worked.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a tool out there that actually will fix this problem if you're having it.
So did you get your Bluetooth working?
No, the Bluetooth. I am convinced that the hardware is fried on my Bluetooth chip.
That's
or
a shame
the
because
motherboard.
these are really good machines. These new machines we built a few years ago are really good.
Yeah.
But a fresh install would probably be good. Maybe we should do that this summer.
I was thinking about that, but it's always such, there's always these little things you
how am I going to
miss.
keep my R17 version? I can't go download it anywhere, What if I need to convert an old TurboSquid file?
Oh, I got some. Here's the thing. TurboSquid, you need to get on point with that.
Right.
There's no reason that I should spend $100 for a model of something on your site, and then I can't open it in the latest version of Cinema.
Right.
Oh, I'm
100%.
sorry. You need version 11 of Cinema to open that. Like,
Right.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Convert all your stuff.
Yeah.
Nobody's
or
using...
or make it quicker, because sometimes they'll convert stuff over to another version, but it takes them days and days to do it. It's like, you know what? With all the money you guys are making off of like stuff, I mean, you got Shutterfly money, don't you? Aren't they Shutterfly?
Right.
What are they?
They're whatever it is now. Yeah.
Right. It's like, dude, you just build a tool,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, along the lines of like having more time for shows, and more time for work and more time for experimenting, rather than all this extra stuff, just trying to trim the fat and be able to. I want to be able to do artist stuff.
Yeah.
Right? I want to be able to experiment with stuff. I want to try Unreal a little bit like I did
We need
this
to
weekend.
update a
and all
demo
that.
reel.
Yeah, updated demo reel.
Right.
Whatever it is, needing that time, one of the questions that comes to my head at this point in time, at my age, is when I get that time, do I learn something new or do I experiment with what I know, right? Like, should I maybe do a render and do something like a personal project in Cinema with all the tools I know? Because that is not about, I mean, yeah, you're going to learn some new stuff. I'm sure you learn something in the process, but you're not starting from scratch. You're not learning tools to do something creative. You're doing the creative. And I like doing the creative sometimes over like just learning about some random programs. I like to know a little bit about these. I like to dabble. I dabbled with Metahumans this weekend, but does it mean that I'm going to dive in and be like a Metahumans expert? No.
The thing that I see about like dabbling, is like for me, I love to dabble in render engines. I always did for a while when all the new, when the render wars started. I like to dabble in all of them because I like having a good general understanding of, how they are. That way, if it ever comes to the point where I need to use those tools, I'm not like starting from, square one.
Right.
I actually have a somewhat working knowledge of it.
Well, like Homer Simpson said to Lisa, if something is too hard, it's not worth doing.
Right.
But when I do stuff like open Unreal 5, right, it's like, okay, let's see how painful it is to learn how to do something simple. And that's kind of the thing. It's like, okay, there's some pain points here, but at least I kind of know what's involved if this comes up for a project or something, right? If I want to do it for fun, that's a whole nother story. Impulse says it's up to the artist, not TurboSquid. So it's
but
the people,
TurboSquid, holds the keys,
and they don't.
They could force
tell
the artist
you.
to do that.
It just says, "Oh, this is compatible with Cinema."
Yeah.
Okay, is it though?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the problem I have. It should at least say, "Hey, by the way, this is 15 years old or something." So I do like to learn new things and experiment, but the older I get, the more I'm just like, I kind of want to just create. I want to do something creative instead, and You know, I compare it to barbecue now when I'm doing these creative things.
Because you've hit your midlife crisis where men only focus on one of two things. It's either barbecue or what's the other thing?
It used to be
or
cars.
their lawn. I think it's their lawn.
Oh no.
Or barbecue.
That. No.
Yeah.
No, I hired somebody to do the lawn. I went through that phase like 15 years ago. I'm over that.
Yeah.
The thing about barbecue, it's the barbecue and the art of motion graphics. That title.
Mm-hmm.
The thing about barbecue is that let's say like smoking stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
It requires patience. It
Mm-hmm.
requires you to follow directions, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the biggest thing for me is just kind of the slow cook, right? You're gonna put it in some short ribs. Thanks for showing me those, Jags. And you're going to let that go for like 5 hours. And it's going to be better because you took your time, right? If you just throw the short ribs in the microwave, you're going to have a bad time. So, like for me, I compare it to that because I've always been in this mode up until maybe, I don't know, about 5 years ago, where it's like, I just want to do everything fast. I just want to get it done. But there's no reason. I mean, client stuff, yeah, I understand that kind of a thing. But if you're doing your own thing, what is the rush?
Right.
And I feel like sometimes it's like, oh, you got to do it daily. You have to think of something. You have to be creative. And even on like projects we're working on, you know, you and I have been super stressed. We have been super slammed. We've been super busy. And it's like, oh, I know you're having the worst day ever, but go ahead and be creative and work for 15 hours at the same time.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. it doesn't give you a lot of chance to be creative. It's literally you're just relying on those muscle memory techniques that you have built over the past few, 10 years or whatever in order to create something.
And it doesn't mean it won't be good, but sometimes it's just like,
absolutely.
You may have been able to approach a problem better if you had more time, or come up with something more procedural if you had more time, or whatever it is. And for me, a lot of it is like what I learned from Barton when we worked kind of a long-term contract thing for him years ago. And that was really taking your time with concepting something, really taking your time with coming up with a look on something. Oh, you're gonna try 5 different lighting setups with this? Cool. Take your time and do it. Turn off all the lights, turn on this light. And I might have said this a couple weeks ago, but it's like, if I want to do my personal project, I want to do it right. And I want it to look really good. And if I'm working on the lighting for like 2 hours and I'm like, man, this just looks like garbage. It's too flat. I don't like it. Delete the lights. Start over.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, like, I feel like I haven't had time for in the last 5 years. And I feel like I've gotten left behind in my abilities because I've just been button pushing and just been, I got to get this project out. Same way I did before. Over and over. Can't learn anything else new. Can't learn about a new render engine. No time for that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to get back, because everybody is so slammed. Everybody's trying to make money, pay the bills right now, and get by in these tough times.
Man,
right?
It's about to get worse. It's about to get real bad.
But,
dude, I'm very excited about some of these Apple updates, I gotta say.
Oh, you gotta wait. Hold on. No spoilers. No spoilers yet. All right. But my point is, let an idea marinate, right? To bring it back to the barbecue.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's a daily. I don't like that idea of daily anymore. I can call it a daily. I'll put hashtag daily on it. I might have worked on a majority of it in one day, but I just don't have any why rush through it? Like, if I have an idea and I'm going to sit on it and I'm going to come, that's one of the big things. And this applies to things like audio as well. Come back to it. Close it. Come back to it the next day. Look at it again.
There have been many times on this project where I'm working a 15-hour day and I'm like, this sucks, And then I'll come back to it the next day and I'm like, okay, it doesn't suck so much, but I know how I can make it better, It's like being able to take that break and stepping away from it.
Yeah.
You get so focused on it. It's like, you
you
want
gotta
it
get
to
it
just
done.
be better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if at first you don't succeed, keep on sucking until you do succeed.
Yep.
Just give
Sucking
it time.
is just the first.
Marinate it.
What is it?
Hmm?
Sucking is just the first step to getting better, or something.
Something like that. Is that
What
a
is it that-
Homerism?
No, that's Jake from Adventure Time.
Oh, yes. Is that the one where...
Sucking is
yeah.
just the first step, or something like that.
I know what you're talking about. I don't remember.
Yeah. Sucking at something is the first step towards being sort of good at something.
Right.
There you go.
Yeah. So let's see. So there's that. Now let's get into some Ravcock. What's your flavor?
What is your flavor?
So I got a bunch
That's
of
a new
notes
one.
here of mine and yours, and it's mainly stuff like this technical stuff that we've been experiencing recently, and along with some other stuff too. So
Like Octane textures?
it's funny because that's literally what the first line is.
Yeah.
The Octane file cache issue. Now here's the problem. I cannot complain about anything if I'm not up to date.
Yep.
And this is the problem.
That's why I can complain about After Effects, because I'm fully up to date on that.
Right.
Yeah.
And we have to stay behind, and we have to stay on a certain point version to stay
100%.
with each other. So this is probably something that was fixed a long time ago, but I was like changing textures in Photoshop and coming back over to Octane, and they weren't updating them when I hit refresh. And that's probably fixed now. I don't know. Again,
Well,
one of those things where I'm not going to, take the time to...
I don't necessarily know if it has been fixed. It's probably just that there is a workaround for it. We just didn't know until just now.
Well, there is a workaround, but it was never like that before.
Right. So there's a material cache that it's holding, and so you have to go into your thing, hit material, and then like clear material cache, and sometimes you have to do it a couple times, you know.
Because there's a reload button. What's the reload button for?
The reload button should just like empty the cache and then
I
redo
think
it.
There's a problem.
Yeah.
Because you'll save Photoshop and you'll refresh, and it doesn't refresh. You change it to nothing so that it errors out, or you change it to something else and then you put it back and it's still showing the old version.
It's still showing the old version.
There's no version of this file anywhere, so it's a cache. It's a cache issue.
I mean, plus we also just need to mention that in the great thing about our Slack is that Ahmet is in the Octane one.
Right.
And I apologize because I like to complain. The problem is, like, I go on there and I complain, and then he's like, "Can you show me any examples?" And I'm like, "No, I cannot." Because this is literally, an NDA job that I can't talk about.
Yeah.
But it's something that, like, I want to help make Octane better, And
everything
so,
for
like,
that matter.
Yeah.
Everything crashes on me. Everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Octane
So
crashes. Sometimes I don't know if it's Octane or Cinema. That's the issue either.
Yeah.
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 When I got a project and it's got Voronoi fracture and it's got like, just crazy textures in it, and it's got volume fog driven by TFD, and it hasn't been like mixed down to any sort of like VDB file yet because I'm still working on it, and I'm throwing all these textures. It gets so complicated. Oh yeah, and let's throw motion blur on top of that. Yeah, see how that happens.
If it says I'll always submit it unless it says Octane has crashed. If it says Octane's crashed, I don't bother submitting it because it's like, what's Maxon gonna do about that?
Well, and it's probably because you're on the old version. We haven't updated it yet.
Yeah, who knows?
But I will say that I have had way less trouble. I installed S26. Can't use it, but I was trying to go into it and use some of the new features to make something balloon and do some other things, and then bring it back into 25 into our current project. And when you install the new version of Cinema, you have to update your NVIDIA drivers, which I didn't want to do. I didn't know if that was going to mess with anything.
Yeah.
But Cinema literally won't work at all. Like, it's weird. Like, it will work, but then you'll try and do something like with Mograph or Cloth, and everything will just disappear. And it is the NVIDIA driver that was the problem. So I did that, and now I'm having like barely any Octane crashes now. And that's why I say, like, I don't like to complain about it, because if I'm not up to date, it's probably my fault. Or the first thing everyone is going to ask, are you on the latest version? No,
Right.
you know.
But
So
still, that brings up an interesting point. It's like studios are doing this, like they can't update fully, all
right,
the time.
right,
Like there are studios that are like 3 or 4 versions behind in cinema, and it's like that's just what they do. Like 23 is a bunch of studios that I know, that's their main one. They're not on 25 yet because it's just so much work to upgrade.
right. Yeah. So it's. I don't know what to say about that. You have to be a computer expert almost, or basically you do have to be a computer expert to do this stuff.
Yeah, it's a
Especially on a
shame
PC.
that like this job is one of the few jobs where like literally you can lose a ton of work just because the programs are not stable.
Right.
Like anyone running Word, they don't have to worry about Word crashing.
Well, I mean, it's Microsoft.
Well,
And that's the problem. It's the fact that it's a bunch of programs that are made by different people, all working together the best they can on top of an OS that is not great.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's why there's so many problems. After Effects, Cinema, Unreal crashes on me.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what it is. I'm having crashes across the board. And
Hupke said that, all the Adobe products are pretty solid on a Mac,
yeah,
That's another reason I'd love to get one of those new Mac Studios. Man, those things are solid,
and that's the thing about the Apple stuff is that they only have to make that program work this way with these very, very, very specific drivers and programs and OSs. There's not like anything they can do.
There's not
about...
multiple versions of Metal. It is just Metal.
Well, it's not like they can make a version of After Effects that works with your motherboard and your RAM and your video card because they know what it's going to be on a Mac, and that's the advantage. That's why people like it. That's why I liked it. But when you don't have any options to change the hardware,
right,
that's the other side of the problem. you
Yeah.
know?
See, I as soon as, and I don't know this may be the case, as soon as Mac Octane starts working with PCs, like as soon as they start communicating with each other, I'm gonna move over to Mac.
Oh,
I'm
just
gonna
use
move
that
back
as
to
your
Mac.
box. Yeah.
Yep. Those Mac Studios
Yeah.
are sweet, and they're the form. They're just so small. I'll just put it on my desk underneath my monitor.
Also wanted to talk about Angie Render. We're going to talk about this next week, but when we flop the days, Matt brought this up in our Discord actually, and I think he's taken a look at it. I kind of watched a video of it. I haven't tried it or anything, but want to talk about Angie Render. It's more for. I mean, I know Clarice is for Clarice, but Clarice is something that a lot of people use doing large scale stuff, like giant environments, like trillions of trees and whatever.
Yeah.
And
who was it that we had on the show that was using Clarice? I know Sorensen has used Clarice.
Yes, and that's in my notes actually. Sorensen has a video on Angie Render that he did back in December, and he's showing Clarice. He talks about Clarice, so. If you want to check it out, you can look on there. But Angie Render is, Clarice only did CPU rendering before. Now this lets it do GPU. So it looks really cool. The thing is, it's another thing to learn, right?
It's another thing, yeah.
Who was on the show that was using? It was who was it?
I don't remember.
It's gonna drive me nuts now. I gotta think. My question that comes up in a situation like this is like, okay, here's a new render engine, super cool, but you have to use it with Clarice, which is super cool. However, do I want to learn Clarice at this point in my life? That's, it comes back to that question, right?
Yes,
you can
but
dabble for a day, but
then do you want to be the old man who is stuck in one program and whatever?
Understandable. However.
I don't know.
However, yes, it was Andre, right?
Andre, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Was it?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was. Yeah, it was Andre Lebrov. Yeah. Yeah, because he was talking about that workflow, and now here's the thing. This comes back to the age point a little bit, but like, you know, that old guy that only used Lightwave anymore, you know.
I know who you're talking about. Who smelled like cigarettes all the time.
I actually don't know who you're talking about.
Oh, really? The guy we used to work with at Access Group?
Oh, there was a guy we had for like a short amount of time, right?
And would only use Lightwave, and he always reeked of cigarettes.
Yeah. Now,
anyway,
here's my point with that. It's like, that makes sense if you're going to be a career artist. That guy was a career artist. Like, he stopped learning completely, and he was unwilling to learn anything new.
Right.
I'm not unwilling to learn something new if I need it to do what I need to do and continue to be an artist. The thing is, at what point do you say, I'm running a company, I need somebody that knows Clarice, I dabbled with Clarice, I understand enough of it to art direct this project, I don't need to know all the ins and outs of Clarice.
That's where Barton is now.
Right.
You know? It's like he knew he needed a Houdini artist, and he tried out Houdini artists, and then he's like, all right, I need more Houdini artists.
Right.
You know?
And I would doubt that he's never touched anything in Houdini ever.
Right.
Or dabbled with something or messed with something. I think that's the difference. You know? Because the Lightwave person didn't want to use Cinema 4D out of principle.
Yeah.
Right? When it became a necessity, he still refused. It is not a necessity for me to use Blender right now. There is nothing I need to do that I couldn't do right now with my existing set of programs.
Right.
If there is something I have to do and Blender is the only way to do it, absolutely I'm going to do that. But why do I want to learn a new interface? It's back to that problem. Now I have to do this instead of being creative.
Right. It's not like Cinema 4D is on the way out. You know,
that's the thing.
It is still a very popular, very good
it's an
program.
Industry standard, and cinema was literally in the same boat a long time ago. Oh, 3D Max was what I use. Cinema, that's a toy, you know. And it's like, and then it became more popular. Blender's doing the same thing right now, and Blender's free. Did you know that?
What?
But there's no reason for me to use it. Like, and that's the thing. Like, so do I need to learn Clarice? Like, first of all, what am I doing that's going to need Clarice? Nothing. But if I was, I don't know if I'd learn it or if I just hire somebody for that one gig.
Right. Yeah, that's probably right. You're probably at that point in your life where you would just hire someone out. Yeah.
I don't want to be
an interesting point.
In front of the box at 70 years old because I can't retire. You know?
God, I know. I have been thinking about that so much lately. Like, am I going to be able to retire? I don't know. Like, because Amy is only, she's like 11 years away from retirement.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy? And I am nowhere near retirement at all. Am I going to be 80 years old? Yeah.
We'll nuke ourselves
making
out of
MoGraph
existence
stuff?
before that happens, so don't worry about it.
That's true.
Yeah. Okay, so here's some random stuff on my list. Cinema 4D. Here's a question. This is one of my this should go on my Rick list.
Your Rick.
So I can bug Rick.
Is it Cinema 2D? Because that's what I want.
We need a Cinema 2D.
Cinema,
but
everyone
actually,
laughs.
Would it be Cinema 3D? Because
I know,
you still have time.
No, I need Cinema 2D. Like this is and they laughed, but like Cinema 2D would be amazing. The Mograph tools, and then you add Super Comp in there. You just make it its own program, you know, that everyone could use, and then they never have to go to After Effects ever again.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I am the type of person, like, I don't have to do a lot in compositing, you know? So
I do. See, I do a lot in compositing. And I like, the thing is, I will get my stuff probably 85% the way there and then do the rest in compositing. And it's like, so Cameron Butterfield's been working with us on this project, and he showed me a whole workflow, you know, with EXRs and stuff like that. The whole, basically, you know, beauty and the the post effects and all that. And I've been using it like crazy. I know I don't render out PNGs. I actually render out EXRs and then do my cryptomat and everything, because it's like why should I go through and like keyframe off certain things and keyframe on certain things when I know I can just cryptomat them out.
It depends. It depends on how extensive. Again, it comes back to like how procedural do you want to make your workflow.
Right.
9 times out of 10, 16-bit PNGs for me.
Yeah.
It saves tons of hard drive space. I'm not going to use any of that extra information for anything. What's the point? If I have to have it, if it's going to be something that's very dependent on color and aces, all the things, I understand when I should use it. It's not like I don't ever use it, but we have tried Nuke for compositing, but there is
the
a
problem with
curve.
Nuke is it is expensive too.
Yes,
I'm not going to spend $4,000 or whatever. Yeah, and don't pirate it. I'm not going to spend $4,000 or whatever a year on Nuke just to not use it. If I'm going to use something, I'm going to use it.
Pirating Nuke, they are ruthless. They are ruthless. We've got a friend who got in some big trouble with them. So, so here's my question. Here's one for the Rick list. Point level easing. Point level keyframe easing. Why can't you?
Did they not update that?
It's not in 25. I see here it comes back to this thing again. But
yeah, is it
maybe it's in 26? I don't know. But again, I'm trying to even point level change an FFD modifier deformer. Which one is 3D Max and which one is Cinema? I still get it confused to this day.
Yeah.
Deformer. Can't ease it. I was like, I want it to go from here to here. Plus, I think it gets a little confused when it comes to, I don't know if it like keyframes all the points. I don't know. Well, anyway, you can't say I want to ease in this.
Yeah.
And there is a trick for it where you kind of like take it and then like do a keyframe time modifier and then you ease the time on it. But like, why can't you do that?
Do a pose morph. You can do a pose morph, but that's not if you're doing, you don't want to do that if you're doing frame by frame animation or whatever, or like every 5 frames. That's just too much. Yeah.
Another trick that I have found that has been really interesting. I have been going to 26 for Z remesher, right?
So jealous.
What?
I just want to be in there.
I know.
Be in there.
I know. The thing about the remesher, Z remesher is so freaking amazing. But I have had some problems, and it's probably because, it's my awful modeling skills.
Right.
That where it's not interpreting it correctly, or it's taking a really long time or something. I have found a good workflow is to start with, because they still give you both remeshers, the old remesher and then the Z remesher. I will do a regular remesh first and let it do a quick thing. And then Z remesh it. I have had so much luck doing that. So if you're having problems with that, give that a try. I got some clean ass topology on something I was working on. I really tried to make it, decent topology to begin with, but I had to simplify it and stuff. And I wanted to do like, when you want to do physics on something, you don't want 1,000,000 polygons in your model. You're gonna just crash your computer. So that's a tip. Right there. Try the regular remesher and then Z remesh if you're having problems. I've had really good luck with that, and I am so impressed with what it's doing. I was able to do some really fun stuff with making something blow up like a balloon. I'm still trying to understand tearing. There's not a lot of good tutorials out for it right now.
Give me 1 second. I accidentally locked my wife out of the house.
Whoops. Got one of them, smart locks, and he probably hit the deadbolt on top of that or something. So anyway, I'm going to sit here and talk to myself. Tearing, I had a problem with tearing because I don't quite understand it. I know you can do guides. I was looking through Chris Schmidt's intro to 26, and I was looking to the episode that he did with Rick. If you watch the Rocket Lasso episode with Rick, there's some really, really great little things that he brings up in there. I was talking to Chris the other day, and I told him that you know, there's a lot of
Sorry.
little things in 26 I would like to find, pick his brain at,
Yeah.
So, I think having a tutorial on tearing in general and the way you use like the guides. I don't understand how to do it, and I was Googling it and there's just not a lot of info on it yet. And then I was also having a problem with my experiments all worked, and then I did like a more complicated setup, and all of a sudden like the pressure of the balloon just didn't work anymore. Like no matter how much pressure I put in it, it would not blow up. Put like a million pressure, and these are all these instances where I wish I could pause what I'm doing, contact somebody and say, what am I doing wrong? Because usually it's my fault, but still, what am I doing wrong? I have no way to do that. In a pinch, it's like, nope, we gotta have to do it a different way. Can't figure that out right now, and that's what having more time to be able to experiment is good for. Hey, I'm going to take this thing I was working on and figure out why it didn't work.
Right.
Or get some log files or send some people some projects that aren't working,
Yeah. And like, I've found that like, you go through and you figure out these problems, and then the next time you have to do that same technique again, it's like, oh yeah, I know exactly what I'm doing.
Right.
There's like this little check button that you need, and it's like, okay, now I know what I'm doing.
Like, you need to pause the live viewer in Octane before you turn on motion blur.
Right.
Because
it's not, I don't, here's the thing. Here's one thing that I will give Octane in comparison to last year. Like, it's like they have gotten better about motion blur. I don't get crashes with motion blur anymore.
I still always constantly
don't
get it.
Like, I don't get any crashes with motion blur, and I'm
Here's
very
when I
surprised
get crashes
by that.
in motion blur. Here's the problem, because it's third party, right? So you have to tell Octane to do certain things if you want it to work a certain way with Cinema. My biggest issue is that motion blur is usually fine until I need motion blur on a very specific thing, like some sort of Mography thing that Octane doesn't interpret as motion. It interprets it as completely separate frames. So you've got to turn on the transform / vertex or whatever and put an Octane tag on that specific item to make it work. And then you do that, and of course you're working with, in my case, I'm working with physics, and I'm working with macaroni fracture.
Right.
And in doing so, do you cache it? Do you not cache it? If it's cached, does it not function correctly? If it is, all of a sudden you got to go from frame 0 if you want to do this render. But it only works if you start at frame 0, or if you put the beginning of the timeline at that. There's all these little things, like you said, that you know to do, but then it still crashes.
Yeah.
It's like, and I'm like, is it because of Octane? Is it because of Cinema? Is it because of the physics? Like, do I need to cache this thing? You just don't know, and then you just end up like having to force quit all day until you can get the job done, because you don't have the time.
So a technique that I've been using lately when doing like simulations and stuff, like especially with like Voronoi fracture, like I don't like having to run a simulation over and over and over again. I like having a lot more control over it. So what I've been using is I've been cheating it and like using effectors on top of my Voronoi fracture and just doing like Mograph selections and stuff like that.
I do it all the time.
Yeah, and it's like, why do I need to go through and create a simulation when I can art direct it exactly the way I want?
Yeah, I need this to explode. So instead of like making it explode, I'll just Voronoi fracture and then do a push apart effector.
Right,
Bam,
exactly.
It explodes.
100%. Yeah. And the and I was talking to Chris Schmidt the other day about this, and I would love for there to be a global effector.
Oh yeah.
Like it affects every single clone. Where it's like, okay, I put this global effector, and then it makes every position, scale, rotation, all of it the exact same.
So basically, like, instead of having to drag the effector onto the effector list, you can take a box that says apply this to any motion graphics, any Mograph object. I mean, in
no, I'm not talking about that. So like, I want like a global effector where it's like I put that effector onto like a cloner, right? And instead of like doing a grid, or I mean, you do a grid and then the effector affects all of it and puts it all in one specific spot or one specific rotation or one, with that. Because the number of times I've wanted to explode out like a bunch of particles or something, it's like I want them to all be in one place first,
Isn't there some sort of thing that
yeah, Chris was telling us about a matrix object and something like that.
Well, Noseman was showing off a thing where you can actually cache Mograph and then add an effector to that. I don't. This was a couple years ago.
Yeah. I don't know. There remember. Probably is something. I'm sure there's a way to do it.
Again, it's
one of those things. Got to experiment.
Right.
Going back to the motion blur stuff on Cinema, in Octane, I was going to mention this. The biggest issue that I've had with motion blur is when you've got multiple clones inside a cloner, and you put the motion blur on it. When I don't know if this does this. I think this does this in both regular Octane and standalone. But there's been a few times where I've sent it out to an Orbix file and I bring it into render or to send a render, and I open it up in standalone and like there are just like crazy streaks because it can't interpret the motion blur correctly. Right. And so like what sucks is like you have to go into your cloner and set them, and you can't have them as render instances. They're just instances or whatever, or you have to bake them out or something like that in order to get them to look normal. But it's like that's going to take a ton longer because you've got so much more geometry in your scene now.
You bake them to an ABC file, and then it's like, okay, wait, can Alembic can you translate the motion blur after you've baked the Alembic in Octane?
You can't.
Or you can, but it might have something to do with a vector or a vector. I don't know. Or a weight. A vector tag for something.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, a vertex tag. Yeah. There's all those little things like that, and sometimes in the moment you're just like, I just wish I had somebody here to tell me.
Right.
What this is. That's what AI is for, right?
Yeah. The thing is, like, I would love for there to be right click, show help, and then there to be videos.
Oh, man. That's a lot of work.
That is a lot of work. But you know what? Like, the thing that I really enjoyed about X Particles when I was jumping into X Particles was their tutorials, their video tutorials, which was great. They have really fallen off a lot in the past few years, but it's like I don't know.
And Samuel Adams in the chat here. This is what we did with Dan Marino. We just started calling him Emmett Smith or any random football player's name. You have to he's talking about Redshift, right? And this is not just an Octane thing. Like, this applies to like anything you're doing.
Yeah.
Again, back to those third-party things, putting all those third-party plugins, having them talk to each other, and hope that it works. It's a miracle any of it works in the first place.
Right.
You have to export as Alembic first before rendering. That probably is the case with Octane. I just didn't have the time to sit there and experiment. And then sometimes it's a matter of like, okay, I know I need an Octane tag on this, but does it go on the child? Can I put it on the parent and it will work all the way down?
I think
or not?
It works all the way down.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's like, oh no, you have to put this on the geometry itself. Which should I learn, C4D or Houdini? Both. You have to.
Yeah.
You work in C4D, you make the sims and stuff in Houdini. I know some people swear they can like do everything in Houdini, but man, it's a lot. If you want something easy, go with. You're not going to go wrong with learning Cinema 4D.
Nope.
But yeah, Houdini. It just depends on the way your mind works. I think with Houdini, if you're very like scientific, mathematically oriented, physics oriented, Houdini's might click better for you. But it's hard to say. You gotta try them.
I'm not I don't and this is probably my After Effects and Adobe background, where it's like I'm used to layers. That's why Cinema was so easy to me, because it was like, oh, you're just adding layers on top of layers, the drop down menus and stuff back in the day.
Right.
And then it's like, oh, well, now that's why I really enjoyed Octane, because you can do it that way, and then you can jump into nodes if you really need to. But my mind does not work in nodes.
I know. And it's funny too, because I know, like, some people say it's easier.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, I'll sit there and something about the way my mind works, I can click 4 or 5 levels down within a regular Octane interface.
Mm-hmm.
The regular Cinema 4D interface, and my brain sees the connections better than it does with the nodes.
Right, I know, it's weird. It's like I've developed that in my head, versus whatever. It's like, the thing is, like, once I get too many nodes deep, I get really confused. Right. Like, it's like, okay, what does this do again? And I've got to, my brain just doesn't work great like that.
Because I do stuff like, I just need to flip between these 2 textures,
mm-hmm.
and I'll do a mixed texture and keyframe it so I can go back and forth between these 2 things because it's easier to control. And then inside of that, there's something with, like, a texture, but it has to have a color correct on top of that. And then within that, I do a multiply and put, like, a dirt shader on top of that texture, and my brain somehow remembers all of that. I'll open the project a year later. I'm like, oh yeah. It's just like directories. I can see directories in my head, but that's how my brain works. And luckily, you can do it both ways, and do nodes if you want.
Amy, my wife is logged into our account that says Matt Milstead, so Matt Milstead is actually her. That's not me saying hi to everyone in the chat.
Oh, that's funny. So if Matt Milstead says, I love you, Matt, then that's sure. It's actually you. Speaking of AI, Merc.
Yeah.
I'm hearing rumors that there's some updates coming. Like,
he has done. I saw he did some updates to some of his other plugins and stuff. Man, I would love to talk to that guy.
Man, he has been, like, so far gone from the scene. I don't know what happened. He got in that accident or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. What exactly can you do in Houdini that you can't in C4D? Houdini is
excellent for simulation stuff, right? If you want to do particles, if you want to do
crazy, if you want to do procedural,
crazy destruction and stuff like that, like if you want to do water, all of that Houdini is great for. C4D you have to either buy plugins or, like, figure out a workaround for it, and it's just not great.
It's made for the sims. It's not that you can't do those sims in Cinema or have a plugin that does it, but Houdini is made for these crazy complex sims that are just like a million nodes and, like, the most crazy procedural stuff you've ever heard of. Like, it's so drill down. But again, it comes back to that mind. Like, if you don't have that mind and you just need, like, a simple version, like, something like TFD or X particles to get the job done, that's going to be easier for your artistic brain to handle.
I love X particles. It was very confusing to me at first, but over the past 3 years of using X particles consistently, I really love X particles.
And I always tell people, if you know X particles, you can do TFD in, like, 2 seconds.
Yep, absolutely.
It's the same. Yeah.
They work really well together. I can't wait until XP gets that update with all the GPU stuff. It's gonna, like, I won't ever have to go to, like, RealFlow or Houdini or any. I'll start doing liquids again. Faster.
Well, and Liquigen, that Otoys, and all of that stuff. As soon as it's in Cinema, I'm going to do it. I have tried doing the third party, but again, it was one of those things where the standalone, where I sit down and I mess with it and I realize, all I'm trying to do is create a puff of smoke, and the scale is off, and it's like I like to work within one program as much as I can, and TFD still is my choice. Like, I still love that for Smoke and Flame.
TFD it does an amazing job at Smoke and Fire. Like, I will jump to TFD every single time over X particles or anything else, because it's also faster. The GPU stuff is just insane. It's insane how fast it goes.
And here's an example, right? Like, if I'm doing some quick smoke or something, I know TFD well enough to make it look how I want to look, and I can art direct it and whatnot, right? But if I were gonna do some crazy ass like motion picture with like some just ridiculous smoke and flame and just a million different, like, I would probably find somebody who could help me accomplish that in Houdini, because one of the things is it's hard to deal with multiple sims from TFD inside of cinema. So my solution to that is
it's hard to deal with that in X particles as well.
Yeah.
You absolutely can.
Right.
You know. But yeah, you got to have multiple systems or multiple emitters and stuff like that.
Includes, excludes, and then if you change the overall gravity and physics of the scene, like,
yeah,
you know, there's
I mean, you can have each system, you know, only affect its own system, which I really like in X particles. But
X particles can use GPU. I thought that was only for certain things.
I think it's only for certain things. But I don't know if they've fully released that. Have they fully released
Maybe
it?
We just
the thing
updated.
is, yeah, I just haven't updated. Well, I actually updated to the newer version in the middle of the project, which was probably a big no-no because as soon as I ran a new sim, because there's a thing. Okay, so I needed to exclude some of my, you know, particles or whatever. And so John Bosley hit me up on Slack, you know, and showed me how to do it. It's
John
really
Bosley,
cool.
Bob Walmsley, John Bosley, Bob
John Bombley. But apparently in X particles, it's really cool. Like, you do your sim, and then all you do is go to your editing tab or something like that, select the points that you want to get rid of, hit delete, and then they're gone, which is amazing. Like, the same sim will happen, those particles will just be gone. And it wasn't until, I think, this newest version where, like, it was broken for the past 3 or 4 versions, you know, up until this new one. So,
yeah,
for fluid sims,
yeah. I get Daniel Danielson on the show. I know, right? I tried to contact him like a year ago for something. And he used to write into the show.
Yeah.
That used to be like way like before we did video, he would write in. That's when I was like, that's not your real name. Oh crap, what was I going to say? So the technique I showed you a couple weeks ago with taking the BCF files and changing them over to convert them.
Yeah, see, I hate that. I think it should just, I don't know. Maybe that's their proprietary thing to where it like makes it easier for, you know.
Yes. So BCF files read faster than VDBs do.
Okay.
So the BCF files will bring your cache in, but you can. There's a command line converter. I don't know why they don't make this like a right-click convert type thing. Yeah. But what I like to do if I'm like doing multiple sims,
button in there that says use VDB. You know.
Right. So with the Octane tag, it's actually really easy. The documentation hasn't been updated, but the BCF converter is not in the same place anymore. It used to be like in the plugin, and now it's in like the program files directory under
JawSet.
JawSet. You have to go in there, and that command line tool is in there. You drop in the BCF files, it just changes it to VDB. Nice and simple. You do have to go in and do the VDB loader in Octane, and you have to give it like because it won't work at first. You got to give it a specific number of decimals or 0 places to make the thing work. But what's great is then you move the Octane tag of your medium, you know, your volume renderer to that, and it looks exactly the same. So if you can cache these out, then you can have all these multiple sims of your TFD. Yeah. You know, so that you're not worrying about, oh, now I got to resim like 3 TFD containers at once and all of that crap. The one thing that maybe I don't know how to use it right, but the linear gradient that you can put on your scattering in Octane. I think do yourself a favor and don't touch it.
Yeah, I think that just controls like basically the colors, right?
No, this is what this does is for some reason you can't put anything but black and white. I don't quite understand.
Oh, on the scattering?
It has to be exactly like 100% black and 100% white. It's not in the scattering itself. It's a separate gradient that you can put in, and what it will do is kind of fall off some of the lower density parts of the VDB, but I end up getting so much noise and weird like glare. Like you'll get little particles that show up and act funny, and it acts funky, and like I had to do it in a project last week, and it's there, but it was one of those things where like the art director has approved it, and I don't want to take it out because it will look different, and but I'm never going to touch that again. I don't really know what I'm doing there. But anyway, TFD, all that. If you're looking to get into TFD and cinema, actually, I have an introductory tutorial on that I feel everybody who has never touched it should watch, and will help you get an understanding of it right away. Yep. And all the little different pieces. And on the Merc front too, by the way, Winkleman, were you on that?
I was on that text.
Thread.
Yeah, I think I was asleep when he texted. He texts at weird hours nowadays.
I mean, it was Sunday morning at like 10 a.m. But he texted us, and I guess he had hit up Merc actually to be like, hey, miss you,
right?
Miss your stuff, you know, Blender or Cinema 4D. You should rewind and listen to the Blender or Cinema 4D. Absolutely Cinema 4D.
Unless you're poor.
My opinion.
If you're poor, jump to Blender. Yeah. Like the thing is, if you're brand new, why not use Blender? It's free. You know?
Yes, if you want to learn something, absolutely.
I mean, I don't want to say poor, but you know, unless you have no money.
Yeah, that's the thing. But here's the thing: be prepared to buy plugins.
Yeah.
Like a lot of plugins.
That's Jags. We were on talking with Jags earlier, and he's like, "Oh man, I've spent like $200 in Blender plugins." It's like, is Blender really free? You know?
Yeah, and what customer support line can you call for Blender?
Right.
Google? Well, we do that with Cinema too, but like if you really have an issue, you can't get in the request line on our Slack and talk directly with the person who you know, it's different. It's definitely different, and it's about the culture too. You know, the culture around Cinema 4D, the community around Cinema 4D. But try them. You know, I still feel like Cinema 4D is more intuitive. I have dabbled. I've done that thing. Open Blender. Okay, close Blender.
Yeah.
Because to me, it's like opening Maya. It's like I don't know where anything is. It doesn't feel as intuitive, and it's probably because I need to spend time in front of it. But again, I'm ready to create. I don't need to learn something new to do exactly what I was going to do over here anyway. Yeah. You know.
Yeah, Merc has updated his plugins to 26.
Yeah. There's some stuff that's not out yet. I think Verdon said he was the Topo. Which one is it? The Topo
Former or something like that.
Yeah, the 2.0 isn't out yet or something. Yeah. But yeah, I'm always going to say Cinema 4D, of course. You know. Go hang out with all the people from Maxon. You know.
Yeah, right.
At an event, and then tell me you want to go to Blender. That's the thing.
Right.
It's the culture as well.
Yeah.
Unreal 5. Let's talk about Unreal 5, though.
Yeah, I know nothing about it.
Neither did I. I mean, I knew about it. I hadn't messed with it. And so this weekend, I wanted to play with, some of the live link stuff and just kind of figure some things out. I had played with Metahumans a while back in the old version, but I tried to make a metahuman that looked sort of like me the best I could.
I was going to say, were you trying to make him look like you?
Yeah, I did like a front shot of my face, and I loaded it on the screen next to it and tried to match. There's still some things it doesn't do. It's like the eyes were slightly like tilted, and I could not untilt them and make them straight. And I was like, why can't I just need a little less tilt. And like, why isn't there a control for that, you know? So, and things with, like, the beard. At least they can do bald heads now. They couldn't do bald heads at first for some reason. And they don't do glasses at all, I noticed. You know? So in order to see if it looked right, I would load it into Face App and have it add glasses to a picture I just took with my phone. And be like, does this look right? Okay. But the issue that I have right now with Unreal 5 is there's a lot of stuff in beta. The tutorials are, very sparse, and I was trying to figure out how to get the live link thing to work from my phone to Unreal 5, which is actually very easy in concept. The problem is Google searches bring up the old versions of all of this. Even if you do it, like say sort by time or whatever, could not figure out, what am I Googling? Tutorial, Metahumans, live link, and then it would just be like videos about it. It wouldn't actually show how to do it. In the end, surprisingly, and this is kind of like the TLDR tutorials I was talking about years ago, that would be fun, is on TikTok, you got a limited amount of time. So people just rely on you to hit pause. And they give you the short version. First, go to Unreal and do this. Then click on this button. Then do this. Then do this. Then do this. And so you just pause and
you sent me that one, didn't you? I think you did.
I might have.
Yeah. And it was it seemed like a lot of steps.
Well, I had done 99% of the steps before I got to that.
Gotcha.
Which is, you have to install Unreal 5, of course.
And it takes forever to compile the shaders.
I had to, you have to wait. It took an hour for 7,300 shaders, my first project, to come in. And then it's like, okay, well, what about Bridge? And I updated Bridge. And then, of course, this is what I hate about Bridge, is it doesn't bring your settings in from the last version.
Really?
So you have to go back in, you have to change the location where it downloads, I think, and then you also have to go in and reinstall the Cinema 4D plugin and do all that stuff again, right? But then I find out that Bridge is actually in Unreal 5 now,
that's funny.
because when I finally went in and I installed the Unreal plugin for 4 point whatever and up, it like didn't work. And I was like, oh, that's because it's in Unreal. So it's in Unreal. I had to figure out also, okay, how do I load my metahuman into there? And I got that. And how do I drag them into the scene? And then the only part left was figuring out how to hook the live link into the character's face.
Yeah.
Which I was like, I know it's right in front of me. I know there's a setting like somewhere. I just have to figure it out. It's super easy.
There seemed like to be a big lag, though. That's something that I've noticed is like it doesn't, when you're doing the live link, it doesn't match 100%.
Right.
You know, it's like,
right.
You know, I wonder if you could do something like Maxon does with Maxon Moves, where it's like you can actually record the facial. You can?
Yeah.
So that it matches a whole lot better.
Yeah. No, I like the thought of being able to take a character like that and do your own scene, like a live, or even do like what we're doing now. We could be metahumans for an episode or something, right? Or
that'd
have some sort of like digital celebrity, or whatever you want to do. And so
you could bring in Ellie, the AI, right?
Yeah,
Ellie Wade, the AI.
The AI. That's actually why she had to delay the show. She's getting an upgrade.
Right.
Yeah.
Getting an upgrade to work with S26.
Yeah. So I got it working. There's a lot in Unreal 5 to unpack, and like one of the things, of course, is ray tracing, which is still in beta.
Yeah.
So and the other thing is I wanted to kind of look at some of the live link stuff with the camera, because you can bring in live link as a app with a camera and like move the camera around, and you can pick, I want a cinematic camera with this lens or whatever.
Have you seen some of the stuff that Smearballs is doing in Unreal?
Yeah.
Trying to match that as well.
Yeah.
That's cool stuff.
And they're doing a lot of tools for creators and virtual production stuff. And one of the things that I've noticed is Nanite is cool and all, but you're still limited to the resolution of the texture. So like I did a little scene and I set it up so I could like walk around in it if VR eventually. That's a whole nother thing I haven't gotten into yet. But I set up the scene and I took some assets from Bridge and I brought them in, and I was making the scene and I scaled them up really big. Because I want this to be a big mountain and whatever. Well, the texture still sucks.
Right.
It doesn't suck, but it's 4K or something, right?
Right.
On a nanite thing. So like if you're far away, the geometry is going to change LOD automatically or whatever, but you still have that text. So you have to have like a procedural texture if you want that thing to scale up correctly.
Right.
So that's kind of a limitation. What is it called? What is their renderer? Lumen by default,
no idea.
Instead of ray tracing. Apparently that's the way of the future. But ray tracing is still important if you're trying to do stuff that's not real time, or something that's more close to real time but maybe looks better. That's why Brandon's course is it's going to be in Unreal 4, but all the concepts apply. It's the same thing. It's not a beginner course anyway, so you have to know Unreal before you take this course.
Right.
So I've been dabbling in all of that, trying to figure it all out, because we got the Rococo suit. I would love to wear the Rococo suit, be able to walk around, control the face and a metahuman, the whole thing. So that's what I'm attempting to do.
Have you seen? Do you know Mark Canataro on TikTok? He's the one who does the he did the Mario thing, and recently he did
yeah, he said he was going to be on the show, and then
he never did. He bailed on me.
Yeah, he disappeared.
Yeah, but he was showing some behind the scenes stuff, and he's using the accents, I think, and it's just gloves and like little things like straps on the arms and legs.
That's
and
the other one.
The accents.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, and it's like, wow, that looks a lot more convenient than putting on a whole suit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And his motions, man, they were pretty clean.
I put my daughter, who was sitting on my lap in front of the camera, and had her face control the metahuman. It was super creepy. And I was like, once she gets a little bit older and I can tell her to say certain words in like a baby voice, it would be really funny to have like a bunch of creepy videos where it was just a baby controlling that.
Okay, I'm looking it up right now. There's 2 X-Sense ones. There's the intermediate performance, which is just the straps, and then there's a full body suit one.
Yeah, I could see where that could come in handy depending on the situation.
Yeah. Update rate is what's the big one. 60 hertz versus 240 hertz. That's huge.
That's a lot of hurting.
Oh, jeez.
So, couple other things on the list here. Number 1 is Rococo. We talked about Rococo. We haven't dug too far into it yet. We recorded a lot of animations, a lot of motions and things, and I have like this library here, and my plan is to start digging into that and trying to animate some stuff. EJ gave me and Jags some of his characters to try and animate with those motions. So Pickle Nick did a ton of stuff, and I'm hoping I can take Pickle Nick and put him into EJ's characters. And what we learned about Rococo is, there's a learning curve.
You can't roll on the floor.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's different with the accents or not, but the biggest thing is, like it does, like if you jump, it does see that, but it's more like something has to be attached to the floor. It's calculating where your foot was and where it's going. So if you slide across the floor, it's not going to know. And so just like anything else we talked about on the show today, you have to learn those little gotchas ahead of time. And if you do, you're fine. Everything about the Wi-Fi, for example, just save yourself the trouble and get a dedicated Wi-Fi router for it. Setting everything up, where the sensors go, where to put in the battery pack, how to calibrate, how to do smoothing correctly. There's so much of that. It requires a lot of experimentation, but you have to do that because, like, you can't wait until somebody shows up and says, I want some motion capture before you learn how to do motion capture. Because that's the point where you hire somebody else who knows how to do motion capture. Yeah, no moonwalking. Gustav was there.
We couldn't moonwalk? I don't remember that part.
Well, because you're sliding your feet across the floor. I think they actually even say that somewhere.
That's funny.
So getting these things and being able to dabble like we did is the first step. Now we purchased this, so we need to learn it. But I feel so much more comfortable with Rococo now. Like I feel like if somebody wanted me to record a motion of something right now, I could get in a suit, I could record that motion and I have the motion. But that's as far as I've gotten. Jags has already taken it further by doing like an experiment with Halo. He's got some other stuff he wants to do. He's going to blog it all. We're going to, talk about that, I'm sure. We talked about even maybe doing some sort of episode or special or something where we dig into it more. And but I feel pretty comfortable with it. I feel like it works pretty well as long as you know those little gotchas. And I'm hoping I can get to it tonight.
Yeah.
Because the rest of my week is crazy. I'm hoping that maybe tonight I can take an EJ character and the end result be, have an EJ character barbecuing on the grill or something. Because
there is a live link between Cinema and the Rococo, right?
There is. The hardest thing right now is, and this is what Jags is talking about too, is trying to stay in Cinema. Because there is a control rig in Maya that works so much better with Rococo specifically. And, it's like Sam's like, oh, we'll just do it in Maya. It's like, no, I don't want to learn.
Yeah.
I don't want to learn Maya. Like, it's same thing as the Blender deal. Like, I don't want to have to learn Blender in order to capture what I need onto a rig and then just end up bringing that into Cinema anyway, because I don't want to do the rest of it in Maya.
Yeah.
And so that's an issue that I hope they work through. I hope they make it more Cinema friendly. I feel like they're concentrating a lot on Maya, and I understand why.
Yeah, Maya's got some great character tools.
Right. And I mean, that's just always been their thing, right? These different programs have their strengths, but I would love to be able to just bring that straight in. The other thing is, don't use any of the beta. Sam even told me right now, just don't use the beta right now unless you're just wanting to experiment with it. Like, there's a lot of functionality that isn't in there yet that's in the base version. But I got the gloves working. I would love to maybe do a series of, like, quote unquote dailies of some hand motions doing some stuff,
Yeah.
That would be a great way to learn. But
yeah.
And so the next thing on the list would be the AI stuff that's coming down the pipeline.
Yeah. That's pretty insane. Like, the fact that how accurate some of these things are is absolutely crazy to me. It's like, what'll be interesting is in the future, if a client is able to be like, all right, I'm going to go through and I'm going to do this AI thing, and I'm going to choose the version that I want, and then you create this in 3D or something like that. It's like, wow, that's gonna change everything.
A lot of people are worried, oh, it's ticker jobs,
It's not.
But if you don't, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? If you don't embrace AI, you're going to have a bad time. If you're going to be one of those people who's, the lightwave person, when everybody else is using other stuff, if you're going to be that person with AI, it's going to be the same issue, because you have to learn how to use AI to your advantage to make your life easier, and it is going to get a lot better. I don't know if Moore's law is going to apply with AI or not, but just seeing where AI got in the last year or two compared to where it was, I remember seeing some experiments online where you could, type some very specific things, like about an avocado. I think that was on Dolly 1, the original Dolly, and Dolly 2 is like,
the NVIDIA stuff, where you're able to draw, like that to me blew me away, but it's like, this stuff is crazy cool.
Yeah. Now there's 3 that I've been hearing about lately. Dolly 2 is the big one that's all over TikTok right now, and you can sign up to get on the beta, but I've been signed up for that beta for a long time, and I haven't heard anything.
Yeah.
The other one that I just heard about is Imagen by Google. This is a really good one. It's very natural language and whatnot. It's, from what I see, it actually looks better than Dolly 2, but there's no beta program for it right now. That's the problem. And I don't know. I have a lot of faith in Google, in what they're going to do, like how they're going to develop it and make it better. I feel like they're going to become dominant just because they're Google. But the one that everyone's been talking about lately is Midjourney, which is a beta. I'm signed up for the beta. I think Billy and Pickle Nick both got into that, and it only took like maybe a week to get access to that. Yeah. And there's a Discord and all of this. and you can pay as well to get like X number a month of images, or I think it's like $30 a month for unlimited images, and you can also give out invites to other people if you pay.
Man, it would be so interesting. That brings up such an interesting point. It's like, could you say something or type something specific enough to where it's like, okay, this is going to be my style frame, you know? And it's like, this is what I'm going to show the client that we are going to make.
I think
you know,
could. And I think actually over time, it's just going to be the client that does that.
Yeah.
Because it will be that easy. They say, look, AI came up with this concept, but we need you to actually like build it and animate it now.
Right.
You know, we're not to that point yet.
Gosh, man, think how difficult that's going to be. Like that,
you know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it's just like imitating any other style frame, right? Like, you know, or board that somebody puts together, right? They give you a thing with like 10 different examples of what they like, and then you just mimic that style. You know, like the one, you know, Bruna Art, she's on TikTok. She's been on the 3D Motion show. She did a TikTok where she was showing the other day. She put in the Mid-Journey one, she put Mike or somebody else. It was just a screenshot, but it said Mike Winkleman Goblin.
Yeah.
And it was just like his style, and it was a goblin. But if somebody sent me that, it doesn't matter if AI made it or somebody else. It goes into the style frame. Which is the best course? Oh, what are the best courses to get started with in Cinema 4D?
I think EJ's courses, yeah. And if you don't want to pay, just go to EJ's YouTube page. You can find a bunch of really great stuff. Yeah. If you are looking to like take an actual like paid course, School of Motion, EJ's course on School of Motion is fantastic. Yeah, you know, and they just started the sign up right now. I think you can get like $200 off. You know,
yeah.
I think. Don't quote me on that.
So AI will get better. It'll get more accurate, and I really do think that it's going to be something that we have to embrace, because if we don't, I for one welcome our AI overlords.
Yeah. Here's the thing: just let AI do everything, and then we'll just sit back and we'll have universal basic income, and you know, we can just have fun for the rest of our lives. Gosh. That's the future I want. That's the future I'm not going to get, but that's the future I want.
It was supposed to be what automation would do for us.
Right.
The AI stuff, I think, is going to evolve. So imagine like 10 years from now, like you may still have to do your own like animation.
I don't know, man.
If you're
able to do it like this, you know, what's going to stop them from like loading in all the objects in Cinema 4D? You know,
nothing, but
all the options and stuff, and being able to say, I need a helix of particles circling around, you know, blah 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 blah, or whatever.
But when you need one particle to move to the left,
right. Well, they build your base scene, and then we edit it. Yeah.
What I'm looking forward to the most is auto texturing.
Yes.
I'm telling you, you got to embrace this, because you'll be able to say, I need this to be, you know, 18th century blah 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 building right here, and it does it, and it textures it based on your model.
At what point does that do you then run into like copyright problems? You know, because it's like, okay, say Grayscale Gorilla +++, right? Incorporates AI into their stuff where you can say, I need a rocky texture with very high valleys, you know, or very high peaks and valleys. And so it pumps out like, you know, your diffuse, your specular, your displacement, and you're able to pop those in.
It pops it in for you.
It pops it in for you, right? And it's, I mean, whoo, I like this future.
Right.
You know,
there's still going to be a person in charge of the project, but maybe that's the solution. Now you're the art director, and you just get to direct the stuff and just tell the machine what to do.
Right.
You know, you need to open the program and do another camera angle. You can just hop in
Yeah,
and
but
makes
then
the scene for
at
you.
what point are people like, oh, you didn't actually make the scene? Oh, you just used AI.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you didn't build the
There's always
model,
those
you just
people.
bought it from TurboSquid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the big things that they're talking about right now, though, with this is the AI. The AI is not able to learn anything besides what we're teaching it, right? Like right now, AI isn't like solving physics problems that we can't figure out because it only knows the physics that we know.
Right.
It hasn't figured out, like, you know what I'm saying? So there's problems with things like stereotypes, for example.
Yeah.
So I was looking at some of these articles, and some of the stereotypes would be like, okay, more often than none, it's a white male as the subject. If you said, I need a person standing in a backyard at a barbecue grill, it puts the white male there by default.
Interesting.
And the reason is because it's taking our own stereotypes, because that's what it's learning from is a society that's already that way. And so, and then that becomes an issue. And then because, then there's going to be people with like, there's going to be politics involved and all this other stuff that's going to come in, right? Oh, well, I don't think we should teach our AI to be gender neutral because, reasons.
Right.
Because
I gotcha.
So all that's going to start coming into play, using hairstyles that are only indicative to a certain race, because it doesn't know, you know what I mean? Like, how do you even, and it's all basing on that. Oh, I need a boss at a desk. Well, obviously that's going to be a male,
Yeah.
But where does that decision come from? It comes from us because we're the ones training it.
Right. That's interesting.
So, yeah. Talk about a biased render engine.
Oh, gosh.
Huh?
You're fired.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so dealing with that as a motion designer, you have to adapt or you're going to get left behind.
Yeah.
You just got to integrate it into your work. And I think it's going to be really interesting. But you can't be stubborn. You got to learn the new stuff. Got to keep up.
100%.
Yep. Are we going to check in on the Apple event?
It just finished, actually.
All right. Cool. Let's go to the show floor.
Just a lot of new stuff. A lot of FaceTime stuff, like collaboration FaceTime stuff. So like you can use Pages and you can FaceTime with people and share stuff, which is kind of neat. Mac OS Ventura is the new one coming out.
Okay.
They introduced a new
Ventura
MacBook Air.
park?
There is a highway, Ventura Highway.
Oh yes, America sang
Ventura
about it.
Highway. Right. New MacBook Airs, new MacBook Pros with the M2 chips.
Okay.
That's about it. 24 gigs of unified memory.
Did they spend 20 minutes on emojis again?
I don't know. I didn't see emojis.
I gotta know what
Some new
emojis.
watch stuff. I don't know what
What's
it is.
the new
though.
iOS?
The new
watchOS?
CarPlay stuff is cool. The new CarPlay stuff, like it will be able to control, like if you have like multiple LED screens or whatever across your dash, like it can control all of that. So car makers can use CarPlay in order to make a full CarPlay dashboard and stuff,
sweet.
which is really cool. What else? I need to get my
What's
old
in the watchOS?
stereo.
Tell me.
I don't know. Let's see.
digging the new watch.
Updates coming to Apple Watch. Vertical oscillation metric, a measurement of how much you move up and down.
Okay.
Workout app getting reworked. Metrics views, training exercises inspired by high-performing athletes. Blah. Stride length and ground contact time also measured. That could be good for you.
That's good for me.
Yeah.
Because I am a quote slow runner, but it's because I'm short.
Right.
I have a hard time, trying to keep up with other people's,
New custom
pace.
workout option to let users focus on speed or endurance with distance or time intervals. New alerts like pace, heart rate zones. Haptic and voice feedback to
I like
remind
that.
you to switch between work and recovery periods.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about what would make a great running app based on what I've been doing.
Yeah.
In running, and man, I've got so many ideas. It's ridiculous. And
Yeah.
I've actually, again, dabbled to see how hard would it be for me to try and build it on my own. Is it worth the time?
Ooh,
But
new medications app to help you keep track of your medications.
I like that.
That's cool. Yeah.
That's good.
Can monitor for drug interactions. Can help share data and oh, with that, the new being able to share your camera roll with your family now.
Your camera
Like,
roll?
Yeah, like your pictures. Like there's iCloud.
Did you do that before? Or you could share photos?
No. So like Amy and I forever were on the exact same iCloud account, you know, and it caused problems with like our contacts because I have all of her contacts in my phone and she has all of my contacts in her phone. It's like I didn't need all these people. I only need like 5 people that I call. And but we got to share pictures, you know, so I could see all her pictures that she took and she could see all mine. But then once we switched to our own, it's like we don't get to see each other's pictures anymore. So we kind of miss out on a whole part of the other person's life.
Yeah,
but
I'm not
that's
doing
cool.
that. I'm not doing that. It feels like it get a little problematic.
Nah, it's like I miss that. I miss that, you know.
I took a picture of that growth on my shoulder and you know, now my grandma's looking at it.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm not sharing that with my grandma. I would only share it with Amy.
But if it's sharing your still.
Well, okay, so funny story. Amy's cousin's husband, we'll just say our cousin, right? Is a physical therapist, and he's a physical therapist like after like surgeries and stuff. So he has to check on wounds, and so he takes pictures of wounds all the time, and sometimes forgets to delete them afterwards.
Yeah.
So like their family's pictures are just filled up with these random wounds and stuff.
That's the thing. It's like, is my stool supposed to look like that? You take a picture.
Why would you take a picture
for your doctor?
For your doctor,
right? If you well, I'm serious. No, I mean, I haven't done it before, but I'm just saying. There are instances where, like, you take a photo that's pretty private, and it's just like, I don't know. I just,
I never take a picture. I never take a picture of something that could get you in trouble. I will never do that.
But it's not necessarily it's not like I'm taking, dick pics or something. I just like, you know what I mean? Like, I just want to be able, I don't know. I just want to be able to control that. Like, I feel like the more we do with technology and integrating all of these things, I get a little nervous. Right.
I gotcha.
I mean, there's even stuff that I don't find, there's stuff that I don't find offensive that someone in my immediate family might.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I rolled a beautiful joint.
Right.
And I don't want my grandma to see that.
Right. Well, it's family sharing. You only share it with the people you want to share it with.
Right.
You know?
What if you forget?
Like, I will share all my pictures with Amy, and I'm very excited about that. You know? And I will have Gibson's phone share all his pictures with me so that I can see what pictures he's taken.
Or what about, I mean, even VR sometimes. Like, you can see now what people are playing if you turn that on in VR. Maybe I don't want people to know what I'm playing in VR at all times. That's the thing. Like, I feel like it's not like it matters. I mean, it's their ecosystem. They're not going to allow anything like,
egregious.
Yeah, on their ecosystem. But still, maybe I don't want one of my clients knowing that I've been playing VR all day today. When,
right.
I was supposed to be working on their project and it's rendering, but I'm doing VR, and they'll be like, "Why are you working on my project?" Like, there's so many reasons. Everybody wants to go straight to porn, but I'm just saying there are so many little things. Sometimes I won't even post on Facebook on a day that I know one of my clients who follows me on Facebook might be watching. Now, I don't have a lot of that. I get that, but
I don't accept it. I've got like 60 people in limbo on Facebook right now. It's like, and they're even like
Facebook
like
purgatory.
Jags. Like I just won't accept anyone. I just don't do that.
I don't know.
I don't need people knowing enough about my personal life.
Sometimes I just want to be disconnected. That's the thing. I just want to be disconnected. I don't need everybody to know. Like, it's sometimes, like, even like being busy, that's why I haven't been on Discord either. I just need me time. I don't need to know. I don't need anyone else to know what I'm doing or where I'm going or what I'm eating, or like just put my head down. Anyway.
with you.
Anyway, any other questions in the chat before we get out of here today? We got to get back to work.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I just got feedback from the client, so it's like, all right, got to get back to work.
What if two persons use the same image as concept
See?
art?
That's interesting.
Copyright.
Like,
Okay.
what if two people type in the exact same concept and then it comes up with the same thing? Has someone tried typing it in the exact same way twice and seeing if you get the same thing?
I don't know the answer to that, but I will say a lot of times, I know at least on Dolly, I think you can say do a variation. Right? So you say no variation of that variation, and it makes a different version of the same thing. So I don't know if by default, if there's a seed, essentially, you know, the default seed brings up the same thing, but I can't imagine that that would be copyrighted unless you're signing a term of service agreement with the AI provider saying, okay, you're not going to use this commercially unless you pay this much money. Right. Or we're going to license this. I mean, there is so much we haven't even had to deal with yet, but that's going to come up. Yeah. That's going to come up, you know?
There's this woman on TikTok who trained an AI to do like horror images and stuff. It's really cool. I've seen some of that stuff.
There's one I saw that was a guy trained to like take the SATs or something.
Oh, that's funny.
And to the point where he was putting in questions and he was copying and pasting questions and it was just answering it perfectly. There's so much. There's so much that it's going to be able to do. And who knows? Maybe it'll take over and kill us all, but I think we can only hope first. We'll kill ourselves first. Yeah. Who am I kidding? Cool. Anything else? Checked on WWDC. We got through all these notes, yo.
That's good. Now we won't have a show next week.
Yeah, right. Jules.
Jules. Jules will be. That'll be a big one.
I gotta get my notes together for that one. I have to research before we do those. Yeah, that's gonna be fun. If anybody has any questions, again for Jules for next week, make sure that you watch his latest presentations at what do you call it? Why is my mind blank? GTC.
GTC.
Yeah. Watch that on half speed and get your questions in, because I'm sure we're going to have a lot to talk about, and we're going to be talking about Octane render. We're going to be talking about probably Brigade. We're going to be talking about render.
Yeah. Render.
And render tokens and hopefully the stuff with Maxon, like for the Maxon plugin that they're working on for integrating with render, which I cannot wait for.
I know.
It's going to be fantastic. A lot of people have been talking on Twitter, about render and where it's going, as far as getting more people on the network and everything. And one of the things that he brought up this week is, you may not have a lot of people on it right now as they're developing it right away, but like what's going to happen is as more of this integration comes and more render engines integrate with it, and all it's going to skyrocket. So I would
not
say
to mention and I think people are only thinking about this in render terms, rendering terms. Once they've got an API out that uses GPU processing for like AI or something like that,
knows where it's going to go.
This is going to be, I mean, the possibilities are huge.
Yeah. And streaming stuff.
Streaming.
Too. Yep. There's just so much, and it's a very what's the word I'm looking for? It's a very big vision. It's a huge undertaking, and Jules has that vision. I'm sure he's always looking, at least 10 years ahead, and trying to implement it. And we're trying to understand where he's going with it now, because he's in the year 2030 something at this point.
Right.
In his head, But I'd say that's your homework for the week, is check out some of his talks and send us your questions. info@mograph.com. So.
If anyone is interested, next week I'm speaking at the SIGGRAPH, the LAAMC SIGGRAPH thing about NFTs. I will be talking about like the positive stuff about NFTs and stuff, along with some really talented people. So I can put the link. It'll be
Speaking.
it'll be on Zoom, which is interesting. So
Yeah.
it's not actually live, which is a shame because I wanted to go to LA.
We're also speaking, I think, still in Columbus in August. 17th,
Okay.
17th through 19th, somewhere. I want to say it's the 18th in the middle here is the day we're speaking.
We should send them an email just to double check.
We need to get that booked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have any other notes. We're going to get out of here. You can rate us on iTunes, leave a review, help get our ratings up on your podcatcher of choice. We would love to hear what you think about the show. Let's see, what else do we have here? You say you've been there, done that. Got the t-shirt with the Mograph logo tee, the Paul Babb, Feel the Babb 2020 shirt. All the profits from that go to Doctors Without Borders. The Render Things t-shirt, hoodie, the long sleeve tee, the Mograph blandishment shirt, and the That Render is Fire shirt, which you are only allowed to wear ironically.
Unless you're shams. Yeah.
And that's about it. Check us out on YouTube, mograph.com. Mograph.com/live has all the information on the upcoming shows. I will get that updated pretty soon as the schedule has been so crazy that I haven't been able to work it out in order to get it posted on YouTube. So keep an eye out for that. And yeah, that wraps it up. We're going to get out of here. Till next time, I'm Dave.
And I'm Matt.
Have a good one.
Later, yo.